Hey guys, Laura here, mom of two, holistic nutritionist, and founder of The Lavish Method, where I teach women who just want to see results. A simple way of eating that doesn't involve giving up wine or chocolate or any of the other things that make life worth living. And today I'm here with Sandra, and we are going beyond the calories. We are doing an expert interview, and I'm super excited to have Sandra on. So welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. For the viewers out there who may not be familiar with you or what you do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. My name is Sandra Power, and I have been working in the holistic health field for probably close to 7 years now, and I graduated from the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. My passion, I guess, kind of grew from the nutrition into very much into the mind-body connection. And so after I started working with clients after I graduated, I realized that a lot of the clients that I was seeing were looking for more than just a meal plan. They needed help not only just learning what to eat and making better food choices, but actually sticking with it and getting beyond the mindset stuff and the resistance and the sabotage and all of that. So I went on to study the mind-body connection, and that's really where I work with my clients is to reduce the physical stress, I guess, that people feel in their bodies. But whether that's stress that comes from their food choices or stress that comes from more mind-body connection side of things is something that we work on together.
Amazing. So I am really excited to pick your brain and to talk with you today because I think, when I work with clients and my viewers out there, my kind of tribe, we are all about food and, how to eat and how to nourish your body and how to stop counting calories and stop stressing out about that, right? And so, these women, myself included, can do everything right? Like we're eating the right foods. We feel like we're doing everything and something's just not lining up. Like the shift isn't happening. So I have a feeling a lot of it has to do with the mind-body connection. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think there's probably, when I think about the mind-body connection, I think there's probably three, Western medicine tends to separate everything out, right? We've been taught from a very young age that when we get sick, we go to the doctor, and then we go to a specific doctor for a specific ailment that we might have. The body is separated into all different organs and systems, and we go to specialists for each. And I think what's missing is this whole holistic connection that recognizes that we are whole beings and that we need to treat ourselves from a holistic perspective. And I think, we both studied holistic nutrition, so we're in that mindset. At the same time, I think it goes beyond just food. And I think a lot of the time the food that we eat dictates how we feel, but also how we feel dictates what we're, what the kind of food choices that we're going to make. So I think starting off with clients thinking about the mindset and really addressing mindset issues that are going on, but also recognizing that so much of our behavior is unconscious. So we can be doing all the right things. We can be super motivated to make changes. And we start off on day one, like, I'm going to change the world. And then by the end of the week, we're like, ooh, one chocolate bar is not going to matter. A trip to McDonald's.
Totally. Totally. And then it's the whole weekend of pizza and beer and chicken wings and all the things.
Yeah. And it's okay. And I like what you said at the beginning, like doing all this stuff, but without having to give up the wine, without having to give up the chocolate, because I think a lot of what we do is based around deprivation and denying what we really need. But by the same token, recognizing that because so much, if you look at mind-body research, mind-body connection, about 95% of our behavior is unconscious. We are, and if you look around, you can see people on autopilot.
Yeah, totally.
Not awake, just going through the motions. 95, when we learn to ride a bike, when we learn to drive a car, you have to really pay attention. But if you've been doing that for a while, you know that you can now get in your car, go from point A to point B, and not remember even getting there because your body can just do it. And you're safe. You're paying attention. Your body is responding the way it needs to, but it's completely unconscious.
Wow.
And so much of our stuff, right, around food is unconscious.
Yes.
We're not even aware of what we're doing. So you can start off really motivated, and then you're reaching into the cupboard without realizing it. You've eaten half the chocolate bar and you're like, what the heck just happened?
How did that happen? How did that happen?
How did that happen? So a lot of what I do is working with my clients to start exploring some of that unconscious behavior, because when you're operating at the unconscious level, you have no choice.
Right.
And when you become aware of what you're doing unconsciously and bring it into the conscious, you have a choice.
So,
and I can give you an example of somebody I was
yeah.
working with around weight loss, because this was a few years ago, but he really stands out in my mind because he was such a perfect example of why he wasn't losing weight. And it was all to do with his mind, nothing to do with his, with what he was, you know, the food he was eating and the exercise and movement and everything, because he was doing that.
Right.
But he had been doing that. He had made changes to his diet. He had been increasing his exercise. He was walking an hour a day, doing some yoga. And when we started exploring, but he wasn't losing any weight. And when we started exploring why that was, he discovered that he had this belief that was an undercurrent, you know, operating as an undercurrent, that he was an entrepreneur, and he had his own business, a consulting business, and he worked with high levels of government, both in Canada and abroad. And so his belief was that in order to be taken seriously and in order to hold weight, he needed to take up space physically. And he wasn't tall.
Wow.
So his body had compensated by making him more round.
Wow.
Right?
Just to have that bigger footprint.
And he said, you know, I believe that if I lose weight, I will disappear. And so I always get goosebumps when I tell the story, because you know, that's, if your body believes that it's going to disappear, it's not going to let you lose the weight.
Totally.
It's a survival instinct. It's survival. And it will hold on to whatever it needs to do in order to do that. So you can change your diet, you can do more exercise. And literally after leaving that session, he got home and he said, I just weighed myself and I lost a pound on the way home in the car.
That's amazing.
Because once you realize, and then it's of course changing your beliefs. So you know, I don't need to. So I said, your homework is to go out and notice all the people around you who are not huge and yet still hold space, are recognized still. So he said, oh, I was at the museum and I was with this woman and she was very petite, but she was very powerful. And so it's just about creating space for those new beliefs to form, because once you change your beliefs, you're good.
So for people out there who are listening to this, that's a very powerful story. Holy, like I got goosebumps listening to it. How do they know, what are the signs that there's something going on under the surface, that there's some underlying belief that's holding them back?
Well, for me, it's really, I mean, it makes sense, obviously, to start with the food and to start with the exercise. Those are two very, you know, easy things that if you're looking to lose weight and it's not happening, or any health issue, if you're doing what you think you should be doing, and I mean, there's a whole, you know, tangent that we can go on in terms of misinformation.
Yes, of course.
We'll leave that there for now. If they're working with you, or if they're working with, you know, somebody who's a health practitioner, and usually the food and the exercise is a good place to start. For me, I usually start working, I mean, I'll work on the mindset stuff. I'll try and coach my clients through, you know, what to expect when they're going through or trying to create change in their life, because there is what I said, the motivation, and then there's kind of a little bit of a dip, and then there's resistance. And when I talk about the 95% of your behavior being unconscious, we often think about, and I you know, we often say, oh, I'm sabotaging myself again, and I'm you know, creating obstacles and all of these things that I can't overcome. And I always try to encourage my clients not to think in terms of self-sabotage, because nobody wants to sabotage themselves. I believe, but your body is craving the familiar.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So it wants to go back to what it knows. It wants to go back even if it doesn't feel well, it knows what that feels like.
Yes. That's a great way to put that. Yes.
Yeah. So just to recognize that, you can see, you know, I'm not I hate the idea of being at war with our bodies and being at war with ourselves. We're not, we're just relearning how to do certain things.
Yeah. And that's hard.
Yeah, it can be hard, and it can take time, and by the same token, we have a lot of beliefs about how long change takes, and that it has to be hard, and that it has to be arduous, and we need to work hard at it, and if we don't, it's not worth it, and we don't deserve it, and all of this stuff. So my my work with clients centers a lot around just challenging everything you think you know about everything.
Wow.
And
so that's amazing. So for someone who's watching this and it's really resonating, because I'm sure, I mean, parts of it is resonating with me for sure. And I know that people out there watching, a lot of it is going to resonate. So if they're recognizing this in themselves, what can they do today, tomorrow? Like, what are some easy things they can incorporate into their lives to kind of get on board with that mind-body connection?
To start becoming aware is the biggest thing. To recognize that the mind body are connected, and that there can be physical reasons for what's going on in their bodies, but there could also be mind-based reasons. So to start looking at, from a couple of different ways, and sometimes you can do this on your own, and sometimes you don't see your own blind spots and you can't the next step. But look at, if it's weight loss, if that's your goal and you're not losing the weight, ask, your body follows your mind's instructions.
Yep.
Right?
Totally.
So starting to think about how your body is following what your mind is telling it to do. So for instance, with that example I just gave you, his body was following the instructions that he wasn't necessarily aware of. Don't lose the weight because you'll disappear.
Right.
So around weight loss, it's helpful to explore why would my body need to hold on to this weight?
Interesting. That's a great way to put it.
My body needs to hold on to this weight. And what will I be letting go of if I let go of this weight? Very often there are hidden benefits to the stuff that we don't necessarily want.
Right?
When we start to lose weight, we get more attention. People notice.
Yes.
Are we comfortable with that?
Are we hiding?
Yeah. So weight loss, skin issues can often be related to feelings of protection. Obviously, the skin is our largest organ. So if we have any eczema problems or psoriasis or anything like that, very often it can be related to a background issue of insecurity or not feeling safe.
That's
so
really
your body is literally, if you think about what psoriasis does, is it creates levels of, layers of skin cells on top of the layers, right?
Yes.
So you're creating a pretty big boundary between you and your external environment.
Wow. That is.
Once you start to uncover, So it can be really helpful if you suffer from any kind of physical ailment to think about what is actually going on in your body. And my favorite example is constipation.
Okay.
We, as nutrition people, we like to talk about.
Yes. All the time. Every day.
How does it look? What color is it?
Tell me more. Yep.
Well, from a mind-body perspective, if you think about what constipation is and what's happening in your body, it's you not letting go of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And it's usually you not letting go of stuff that your body needs to let go of. Right? It's waste. It's not that we're just holding on to like nice things. We're holding on to waste. So
it's not serving you.
Exactly. So journaling, meditating on what is my body? What am I not letting go of in my life?
Yeah.
What is it time for me to let go of, that when I let go of it, I will be able to let go physically? Because as soon as you're willing to let go in your mind, your body, every thought that your mind thinks creates all of these chemical and physical reactions in your body. So we have to be really careful. My daughter I was talking to my 7-year-old, and I can't remember, she was saying, I'm always wrong. She was talking about something. She's in this phase of, I'm wrong about everything. And I said, you really have to be careful about your self-talk, because
for sure,
yourself is what your body does.
And I like how I like how you brought it back to it creates, these chemicals, like you brought it back to the science, because I think often that's missing, right? And people have a very hard time getting on board because it sounds very woo-woo, but it's real, right? You are literally creating messengers with your thoughts that are being sent to different parts of your body.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, if you get embarrassed, your cheeks flush. If you're feeling nervous, you get butterflies in your stomach. Like think of a lemon. Your tongue is already puckered, ready, anticipating sourness. So it's not, it can be very woo-woo, and people kind of shy away from that and go, like you said, I need science, I need for it to see the cause and effect.
Absolutely.
There's plenty of cause and effect that you can that you can gather. Yeah.
And that's a great point. Yes, absolutely. So, okay. So for everybody out there who is super intrigued all of a sudden and wants to know what is holding them back, how do they get a hold of you? How do they find it more?
So my website is just my name. It's sandrapower.com.
Perfect.
Super easy to find. And I do Skype consultations, and I also work locally within my community.
Amazing. So for everybody out there who is interested, below the video down there's going to be Sandra's information. You can click on it. It'll take you right over to her website and you can get in touch with her that way. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being on here, Sandra. This was
Thank you for having me.
Really valuable. Really valuable. And I'm so excited to be able to share this with my community and, with everybody out there who could use this. For all of you out there, if you want to continue the conversation, go ahead to my website at www.lavishnutrition.com and sign up for my webinar coming up this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You guys have a great day. We are so thankful for you spending the time with us. We know your time is crazy valuable, and we'll talk to you real soon.